Jam. Toon Jam.
And welcome to Toon Jam. Ooh. Spooky, too spooky for you, my friend.
Turn on the
Hello,
lights.
welcome to Toon Jam. I am Matt,
And I'm J-Man.
and you've joined us in the throes of our spooky season. It's October, and we're on the spooky trail. So maybe you've been following from the first episode of the spooky trail, which was last week. So, you know,
Many moons ago.
but maybe you're joining us for the very start of it today. And if so, let me tell you exactly what we're talking about today. It is Gravedale High, or to be more precise, Rick Moranis in Gravedale High.
Ooh.
Oh boy.
Spooky
So let me tell you a
tagline.
bit about it. It is an American series produced by Hanna-Barbera for NBC Productions. The latter company owns all rights to the series. Fun fact. The series premiered in the autumn or fall of 1990 on NBC and lasted 13 episodes. So quite a short run. The show was developed as an animated vehicle for Rick Moranis, building on his star appearances in the series of Ghostbusters and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids film franchises. So, I mean, it was so 1990. So, I mean, it has a very 80s feel, this show.
Yeah.
But with it being 1990, it's fresh out of it. And yeah, this was like the Rick Moranis heyday. This guy was in everything. You know, if you're new to Rick Moranis in any way, I mean, when I was a kid, it was like every film you watched that was that wasn't an animated film of some sort had Rick Moranis in it.
That's it. He was just always there.
Yeah, and then he just disappeared.
Yeah, what happened?
I tell you what happened.
Oh.
His wife died.
Oh.
Yeah, it's quite sad. But he decided to retire and concentrate on raising his kids.
Oh.
So, you know,
Top
Rick
dad.
Moranis, what a guy.
Top dad, Rick.
Yeah, I mean, you've know everyone liked Rick Moranis. And I think he's making a sort of comeback at the moment. I guess now his kids are old enough.
Yeah.
Which I can't see anyone having a problem with.
No.
He just, you know, he was like one of those guys that made geeks cool early on.
Yeah.
And the 80s was a time when geeks were starting to become cool.
The
They
Lord
weren't quite there
nerd,
yet, I
Rick.
think. But yeah, there was definitely more like, hey, there's geeks as well.
Yeah.
Hey, just so you know, guys, geeks exist. It had quite
Geek
a
awareness, 1990.
Gravedale High. So it had quite a cast of well-knowns, I would say, the voice acting world at least, for the time. So obviously Rick Moranis, big star. Barry Gordon, so you may know him. Jack Earl Haley,
Oh, yeah.
so he was Gil Waterman.
Oh, really?
Yeah, as in the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Ah.
Maurice LaMarche.
Yeah, yeah.
Loads of stuff. Frank Welker.
Yeah.
Another one. The one that stood out the most to me was Ricky Lake.
Yeah. From TV fame.
Yeah, so I don't know if you remember this, but Ricky Lake used to have a sort of, it was like a Jerry Springer type show, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
People would be like, Ricky. Yeah, she played Cleopatra.
Ah.
And we'll touch more on that later.
Yeah.
As far as ratings, can you guess what it's got on IMDb?
IMDb, I'm going to go 6.8.
Oh, that is, do you know what, that's the best you've done yet. 6.7.
Oh,
Very close. Very close, but yeah, 6.7. And there's no rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
oh,
So who's to say whether it would have been 100% or not?
yeah. Who's to say?
Who is to say? Okay, well, with that, shall we? What's Twitter got to say about Gravedale High?
Yeah, some folks remembering Gravedale High, some folks just discovering Gravedale High. So we'll see how this goes. We've got Wally132 who says, "Yo, this show Gravedale High would have been huge in these modern times. A cartoon that's legit about teenage monsters with Rick Moranis as their teacher. Bruh, get Cartoon Network on the phone."
I mean, that is something we'll talk about this a bit more later, but yeah, like, I agree. But I mean, what a concept.
Yeah, it would work. It would work. You know, they might have to change some things.
Oh yeah, definitely. Which, like I say, we'll discuss.
We'll touch on them later.
Let's touch on rebootability. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, the concept could work as like,
Yeah.
you know, what society's going through at the minute. You know, people seeing monsters everywhere these days.
Oh yeah.
Spooky.
Talk about witch trials. Oh boy.
Oh, we've got speaking of witches, we've got Tricky C66. Just 2 6s though, so it's not too bad.
Okay, so probably not a witch.
Who says, "Do you ever even think of Rick Moranis-led 1990 cartoon series Gravedale High anymore? Of course not. You only think about yourself."
Oh.
So I don't know whether that was part of like just, you know, an ongoing argument they were having with somebody on Twitter or not, but you know, that was.
I mean, it sounds like, you know, just a humorous post about people not thinking about Gravedale High.
Yeah.
But it does sort of, you know, it could be like, you know, when people start posting passive aggressive things and they don't want to single someone out, but they also do a little bit.
Yeah. This is definitely. Yeah, something happened that night, and you know they went to Twitter to vent instead of speaking to the person directly. I think that's
because they were so annoyed that they didn't ever think about Rick Moranis in Gravedale High.
How dare they?
Fair play.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
I know whose side I'm on in that argument.
Yeah.
We've also got Get Tradified, who says, "For a long time, I thought I'd imagined Gravedale High and the hilarious house of Frightenstein because I'd describe them to people and no one would know what I was talking about."
Yeah. And I actually did a tweet before we went out about this being the show that only you know. But it's like, this is that one show for everyone. This is what I don't get. It's the show for everyone that no one else knows.
Yeah.
Only you've seen it. How strange.
Spooky.
It's like none of us would admit to each other that we know what it is.
Yeah. It's a deep, dark secret in all of us. Good eye.
Maybe it's because we're only thinking of ourselves.
Oh, yeah. We are selfish, though. I think that's true. That's true. We've got Out on Blue 6, who says, "Separated at birth, Living in America" by James Brown and the Gravedale High theme song. Which I listened to them both side by side. Fair point.
I don't remember the theme tune. That's escaped me.
Yeah, it is.
But I do know Living in America, so
yeah, it sort of starts like that, and then just ends on like they just kind of change the notes at the end to like Gravedale High, and then there's this high note that comes out of absolute nowhere that really caught me off guard, and it just ends on like Gravedale High.
I mean, if you're going to do that on any word, it has to be high, doesn't it?
Yeah, it has to be high. Yeah, it was pretty impressive, to be fair. It made me laugh. It's like, oh boy, it really absolutely sealed the deal on that end. That was fantastic. And then finally, we've got Let a Sun Dog Live.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, who says, "Wow, I just learned about a cartoon from 1990 called Gravedale High where Rick Moranis voices a teacher at a school of monster kids, and it's all on YouTube. Friday night is about to turn up."
Oh baby, this is a good Friday night watch.
That's it.
It's Fright Night.
Friday night. It's happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good when you can find an old cartoon on YouTube and it's all on there.
Yeah.
Free to watch, legit.
Mm-hmm.
Check
Ready
out.
to go.
That's where I watched this. It was on YouTube, so
Yeah.
if you want to go out, we watch the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
As always. Yeah, YouTube.
It's there.
It's there, so use it if you want.
But yeah, that's it for Twitter quotes.
Okay, well, yeah. So generally, it's just people either learning about it or remembering it.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's nothing negative there.
No.
There's nothing to say like how good it was.
No.
So this is an interesting one. We're not sure what people think of it, other than they're happy to learn of it.
Yeah.
So again, it plays to the concept, doesn't it?
Mm.
Where we're at the moment is a good concept.
Yeah, I like it. Like the look of it. Yeah. You see the poster for it, you're like, okay, I'm into that.
Yeah. Ghoulies.
Ghoulies and ghosties.
Ghosts and ghoulies. Monsters.
Yeah, Rick Moranis.
What's not to love?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I mean, Rick Moranis. Let's go back on that. I mean, it's so strange that this whole thing. How does this come about? How does it exist? I mean, I'm not sad it does. It doesn't. Sorry, but or sad it does, or I'm not sad it does. I'm confusing myself now, but it's such a strange thing.
Yeah,
and it's so specific, like Rick Moranis, and he pretty much he plays a teacher.
Yeah,
he's the only one that isn't a monster. So he kind of plays just if they did a live action version of him, it would just have to put on a bow tie and a suit.
Yeah,
it's just so strange.
Rick Moranis playing Rick Moranis in a spooky school.
Yeah, like where does that come out of?
It's crazy, like the big celebrities and big names and stuff, like things do get made around them, but usually it's like there's also something else there, whereas this was like Rick Moranis was so huge that they were like, as long as Rick Moranis is in it, the rest of it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
like they just built a concept around Rick Moranis.
Yeah, because I mean, look at like what else we've watched the Hulk Hogan cartoon over on our Patreon, which was all about wrestling. I mean, loosely, but still.
Yeah, it
was nonsense, but all about wrestling.
With other wrestlers in as well.
What else have we watched? Like based on
Pro Stars, which is all about sport.
Yeah, and super spy gadgets, but it was all revolving around sport. And then you've got Rick Moranis, and it's all about monsters.
Yeah,
I mean, like I said, I suppose Ghostbusters was pretty big.
That's true.
So it's. He was in that. I suppose they could be playing off that, but it's not like all he did was monster movies.
No. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was the right winner.
Yeah. So it is just it's such a strange, interesting choice. But fair play to them for going out are like completely. Talking about sort of the design of it. I mean, going in, I really did expect this to be a pile of trash. If I'm honest, I was ready for a pile of trash. Seeing as there's only what was it, 13 episodes?
Yeah.
And no one's really heard of it. It's playing off a celebrity. I mean, I like Rick Moranis, but it's never a good sign. It's also, I mean, it's 1990. I thought it was from the 80s. And we've established before Hanna-Barbera stuff in the 80s outside of the Smurfs is forgotten, which this is as well, whether it's good or not. So yeah, I didn't know what to expect, but I was actually pleasantly surprised by it. It didn't just feel like lazy. It felt like the design and stuff, like they'd really actually worked on everything, and it wasn't just like this was it. It felt like everything, like the school bus. Yeah, is like a big hearse.
Yeah.
And then its lights have got little candles in. The characters, they actually picked a lot of it. So, I mean, just the fact that the creature from the Black Lagoon is a surfer dude.
Yeah.
Immediately, you're sort of chuckling. There's some bad stereotypes in this,
Mm.
and some bad just examples of what to put in a kids show. Cleopatra,
Yeah.
I think, being one of the, you just wouldn't have that now.
No, that's not 2021 friendly.
No, making fun of people for being fat is not cool anymore.
Nope.
It obviously was when we were kids.
Yeah.
Which has upset many people at school.
Yeah, it's very true. Very true.
A lot of complexes made from that.
Yeah. I mean, the gag, you can see why they went for it. Like, it's you don't see like big mummies, I suppose. So
no.
You're like, yeah, and obviously the name sounds quite funny, but that's pretty much as far as it goes.
It's literally a pun, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's where the whole thing comes out of.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the female characters are pretty much just bad examples of female characters.
Yeah.
Obsessed with their own looks, and what a male would make a female character as. Yeah.
So there was like the little weird kind of zombie guy or whatever who's like, I want to be rich, and then the Medusa type girl was like, I want to marry the rich guy, and it was like, oh, okay.
Well, was that there's two, isn't there? So there's a Medusa girl, and then there's like, is she a zombie?
I think she's like a Frankenstein bride type thing, isn't she?
But then there is a Frankenstein bride teacher, isn't there?
Yeah.
So I couldn't figure out what she was meant to be.
She's
green and had a skull in her hair.
Oh yeah. Yeah. She loved shopping.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot to be sort of
question.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But outside of that, there are good bits, I think, to some of the characters. The surfer dude was probably the best example of, like, I mean, easily done, but you're like, oh yeah, that's pretty funny. As soon as he came in, I sort of chuckled. The Frankenstein bully was quite funny. I thought I'm not necessarily as a character, but more just visually.
Yeah. Yeah, the invisible kid who was like, seemed like there's quite a lot of focus on him in this episode, isn't there? And
he does a lot of impressions, especially of the time.
Yeah.
Which is, always forgotten after time. I mean, there's
immediately dates it from the moment you watch it.
But yeah, there's good and bad, I think, with the sort of character portrayal. But I think the design I did really like.
Yeah.
And it was clearly at the time this would have been pretty modern, pretty cool. I think, at least the way the characters were portrayed. That used to be, there's a lot of them in cartoons at that time.
Yeah, I think we've seen sort of like, other variations of like a Monster High sort of thing, and they've just not been as intricate. It's just like, get the top three sort of thing. It's a good top three classics, and then it's like that's about as far as it goes. Like, don't really give them any personality or whatever. Whereas these were like it was very clear cut what they wanted these characters to be like, wasn't it? Like, sometimes to an annoying degree, but at least you sort of understood what their deal was pretty quick.
I thought the jokes were surprisingly well thought out on some of the sort of levels, especially the visual gags. And it was more like the sort of, they were constantly thinking about this is about monsters. It wasn't just like we've watched stuff where we'd have watched this and they'd have just made jokes about anything and just chucked them in there, and you'd be like, why are they even monsters? Yeah. But you're not watching it at any point and thinking, why is this about monsters? And you easily couldn't you? Because even just saying it, then you are like, actually, why is it? But
Actually, why is it about monsters?
It's a good point.
Moranis, you couldn't have done anything else. And just...
But you know what I mean? I didn't think that while I was watching it. You get
Yeah.
that's the point, and you're like, yeah. I mean, what did you think? Did you find it like annoying overall, or were the gags there for you?
I think every now and then one would land. It wasn't like just a clean slate of like all bad or good sort of thing.
No,
You could see that they'd thought out some stuff. I think overall the actual characterization was kind of out of date. I think it's just kind of a sign of the times, really. Like, got that kind of Fonzie looking vampire guy or whatever, which is just like, oh, this is kind of weird because it just like people aren't like this anymore.
No,
I don't think people were like that when Fonzie was about, in all honesty. But it's now very strange to just like have some guys sort of say A isn't in a reaction to every sentence.
Yeah.
And then just constantly combing their hair or whatever. It's just a bit weird. And then, there was like the little weird Frankenstein guy or whatever that was just he had kind of an annoying way about him. But he did lighten up towards the end when he started surfing with Gil, so that was a bit better. Gil I found annoying because, you know, the sort of the skater bro kind of thing is kind of irritating to me. But it's happened in other shows as well, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was like likable as a character in a way.
Yeah, he did like crap me up, you know, sort of. That old man went on the surf.
Yeah.
He was on the trolley. He was like, "Oh, tandem style."
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
It was one of those things where it was so stupid that it somehow broke through to me, I think.
Yeah, you could kind of shake it off. Like, oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a fine line, but yeah.
I did like sort of how much focus they spent on like the invisible kid. Like there was a solid metaphor in there about feeling invisible somewhere, and him, you know, wanting to entertain and stuff, but like not being seen. You know, so that was pretty good. Some good moments, some weird impressions and stuff that he did, but you know, overall pretty solid. And I liked that they found a resolution in the end, because they were all kind of scared of going to, which is kind of strange because their teachers are human, but they were really scared of going to a human hospital. Like they were terrified of it, which was kind of odd. But then in the end, they all seemed to have a good time and found like a legit reason to enjoy their time there, as opposed to sometimes we see everyone just, you know, they clear that up in the last second, like, oh yeah, cool. You know, but you know, story wise, there was avenues, and they went to places, arrived there, and came back, sort of thing. So fair play to them on that front. But you know, I don't think I liked anyone more than I liked Rick Moranis.
No, but is that just because of preconceptions of who Rick Moranis is?
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
You like him going in, don't you?
Yeah, but I don't know whether I was. Yeah, maybe I'm meant to like him because he's the Inhuman as well. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like maybe.
I mean, the whole show is called Rick Moranis in Gravedale High.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're going to like someone in it.
Yeah, it's got to be the title character. But yeah,
and he's not even called Rick Moranis in it.
No, they should have just called him Rick Moranis. That would have been well better.
Yeah, if it was just about teaching in a school.
Yeah. Hi, kids. I'm Rick Moranis. Yeah. You may remember me from Ghostbusters.
But yeah, I think there's definitely its morals have dated, but there were certain ones that still kind of shine through. Like you say, like, you know, about feeling invisible and acceptance and things like that. They were there, but the trouble is the sort of the stereotypes, the characters kind of take the shine off it.
Yeah, it's like it had some good ideas, but the execution was like, you know, sketchy.
So, and that sort of brings us back to that's the idea of the reboot of it. We talk about reboots every now and again. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. Rick Moranis in Gravedale High. I think there is space for a reboot of this show.
I think this is time for Rick Moranis' second wind.
Yeah, because I think often when you think there's only like a few episodes of it, no one really remembers it. You can remake it how you want. The only thing it needs is Rick Moranis. And if he's involved, then who cares how different it is? Do you know what I mean?
Everyone's on board as soon as
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, and that's when you can kind of, you know, modernize it, iron out those, you know, horrendous points.
Do we have like a modern day Rick Moranis?
Well, like the you know the
archetype of Rick Moranis.
Yeah.
do we have one like nowadays? Has that gone?
I guess the trouble is now, like, geeks and nerds, you know, they don't have the same place in society as they did back then.
No.
So, you know, you don't necessarily have that character because he's really a normal guy. Just a nice guy, wasn't he? Like, he was just a nice guy with glasses on who was quite
just a nice guy with glasses.
Yeah,
he really was.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you were to have maybe like Mark Ruffalo,
I
could see him fill in that role.
Yeah,
well, I don't know.
When he's got glasses on, he definitely.
Yeah.
They have to put the glasses on. Yeah.
I don't know if he's necessarily, you know, today's Rick Moranis in the same sense.
No, yeah.
Chris Pratt probably. That's who they'd get anyway.
Yeah.
Even though he's not, you know.
Not at all. But yeah, that's what they do these days.
Yeah.
But I feel like maybe Jesse Eisenberg was like a typecast kind of nerd guy for a while. I don't think he is anymore. But
no, well, he's too he's too acidic, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think.
Nowadays these, you know, but if they put glasses on him back in the day, I reckon he could have slowly become maybe Michael Cera, because he's the softer Jesse Eisenberg. Yeah,
he could have been. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, put glasses on Michael Cera, and we've got ourselves
Michael Cera in Gravedale High. I mean, we laugh. That would sell, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's what it needs. You know, he's not been in anything in a while as well.
No, I'd watch that. Michael Cera with glasses.
Yeah.
Comes in to teach, like, just, you know, modern teens, but they're all monsters.
They're just different stereotype monsters. But, you know, to a modern capacity.
Yeah, I'd watch that.
Yeah.
I'd watch that.
There you go. So we've sorted it. Reboot, Michael Cera, Gravedale High.
Rick Moranis should be like the head teacher or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like he's been there this whole time.
Yeah. And he just makes the odd appearance, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And everyone claps.
As soon as he walks in the room for no reason.
Woo! Yeah. Okay, well, we've talked about it. We've created a reboot, so it's just down to our reviews now.
Hi, I'm Rick Moranis. You may remember me from such films as Ghostbusters, but you probably remember me from my TV shows, such as Gravedale High, Germdale High, Birddale High, Spacedale High.
You may even remember me from Housedale House. But this time, I'm at Veggedale High, where things are getting really green.
Sir, I don't feel so good.
Well, you are looking pretty green, even for a broccoli.
Huh? I'm not a broccoli. I'm a cauliflower.
You're a what? A cauliflower? Wait, who's this coming in?
Huh? I'm here. Sorry I'm late, sir. It's me, Housey.
Housey? What are you doing here? This isn't Housedale House. You're in the wrong school.
Oh no, not again.
Housey. He's bricked it again. That's right, I'm Rick Moranis, and join me this year for Veggedale High.
Coming this fall. Okay, well, here at Toon Jam, we have a 3-point rating system, infallible in its design, and it goes as follows: thumbs up, monsters at school. What a great thing. Thumbs down, horrendous old stereotypes that don't belong on TV or anywhere anymore. And shaky middle, the fact that Rick Moranis isn't called Rick Moranis in this show. So, good, bad, I'm not really sure about that one. Gravedale High, episode 1, your thoughts?
Well, you know, going in, it didn't really look like much. You know, we've got a dated kind of look to it. But I mean, the character designs are still something. They're still something for sure. And I mean, it kicks off with that very familiar sounding theme tune. And then with that high note right at the end, that set me up for a good time. So I was already feeling pretty good at that point. And then we've got way more Rick Moranis than most cartoons can boast, in a very Rick Moranis role. The characters, they did grind on me a little bit, but I saw what they were trying to do. Some of them were like, oh, that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny, you know. Some of them I was like, that's really weird that they've done that. But that was the type of mix that it was. And Rick Moranis, title, name above the title, he did his job. He was thoroughly Rick Moranis all the way through it. It did feel like a wholesome ending thanks to the presence of Rick Moranis. I really liked what they did with the Invisible Kid, and I think it did seem to go at a good pace as well. We ended up at a hospital. It was fun. It was still kind of fun all the way through. There was laughs. There was a big swimming situation that happened. It was all cracking up. But as a whole, would I watch more? Maybe I'd go somewhere for to get my Rick Moranis kicks elsewhere. But this was a fair effort, I think. And with a few changes, maybe it could come back. So I'm going to go and give Gravedale High. It's going to be it's a low shaky from me. It's a low shaky. It's almost a down, but it's not. It's a shaky.
Okay.
So yeah,
that's fair. I actually was pleasantly surprised by this show. I thought it was going to be terrible, which could have affected my overall opinion, to be fair. But yeah, no, it was okay. There was a few laughs in there. I mean, some did fall flat, and especially with a lot of the gags relying on these sort of bad stereotypes that we keep going on about, doesn't really help it. But that being said, I thought they'd actually worked on the design. Like, you could tell some actual thought was made, and the amount of shows we've watched where you're just like, how do they even think about these things? Because it's like they've worked harder to not think about the subject.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Things like Swamp Thing and other things we've watched in the past where you're just like, this is just mind-boggling. But it felt like they'd actually put thought into all the aspects of this show, and even if it's not dated well, I think at the time it would have been good. Would have been fine. And I do think with an update, it could be something really cool. That means that I can't give it a thumbs up, simply because it's not like I would encourage anyone to watch this now out of anything other than nostalgia.
Yeah.
And like I say, I don't think I would watch another one. It wasn't, it didn't blow my mind. But it wasn't bad by any stretch. So I'm actually going to go a shaky middle as well, but mine's a high one.
Oh, high shaky.
High shaky. I mean, it makes
now
no
got
difference. A middle is a middle.
Middle is middle. Yeah, it's not like you've got like a 24 step.
Yeah. But for what it's worth, mine was a high.
Yeah.
So slightly
Gravedale High, some might say.
Oh yeah. Oh boy. Okay, so 2 middles. That's a step up from Mummy Nanny.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, it definitely was a step up from that.
Yeah. and we're now halfway through our spooky-thon.
Mm.
So let's hope from here it's all thumbs up.
Oh yeah.
But it could get too spooky.
Ooh.
But we shall see. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I hope it brought maybe a flashback from your own memory, or maybe you only tuned in because you were like, yeah, I love this show, and if so, sorry for our opinions. But we're not always right, so why not get in touch with us? You can do so on the three Gravedale horrenduses of the internet. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at ToonJamPod, and let us know what you thought. You can also recommend anything that we maybe haven't covered before, or if you want to check out our old stuff, you can go over to our YouTube, which is also at ToonJamPod, and we've got all sorts on there from our past. We've done over 100 episodes, 150 episodes at least are on YouTube. There's more than that. So yeah, if there's more, check it out. If you wanted to get some bonus episodes, maybe you've listened to all of them and you're like, I want more. Well, you can do so on our Patreon. We're currently going through baby cartoons, as in like aka Muppet Babies, etc., which is an interesting dive. So join us for that, and there's also, you'll have access to all our old episodes on there as well. There's also